And welcome back to another Market Watch. Today we have some very big numbers that we have to go through. Before we do the Market Watch, I do want to address that I am still working on the community Discord, and I'm also still doing the Masters versus Fusion, and I'm still doing the One Piece versus Dragon Ball video. So there's a lot of things in the works right now for the channel. Just please be patient with me. Right now it's a one-man crew, right? I'm the only one working on this stuff. I have nobody else to help me with. So just stay tuned for everything. Please like, comment, subscribe because it really helps that initial boom for my channel. And yeah, let's get going. So the very big one for today, which is a little surprising because I didn't think the price would jump this fast, is this Black Label Raging Roar, the God Rare from FB03. That's a very nice card, right? This one doesn't have it doesn't have all the autographs on it that's been messing up the cards, right? Very beautiful. Look at this really nice plastic with the black and then the back. Very nice pickup. And it wasn't 6,000. It sold for $4,200. So this is a new all-time high, or we can say this is a new number since I don't think we saw. Oh, you know what? Right here, 2,500. So a Black Label sold for 2,500 on Monday, January 19th. So this card went significantly up for a short amount of time. And for a Black Label, this actually isn't too bad to pay 4K for a God Rare for FB03. So, and also, you know, Monkey Goku is really iconic. And if you're a huge fan of GT, this is a pretty good pickup. And it's a solid price. Okay, and Goku from FB or SB01. This card has action every single day. Okay, and look at the pop count. Went up by 1, right? It's getting closer to that 100. But this card is really crazy. So we talked about it 2 days ago, how it was about $2,000, right? And then yesterday we talked about it, how there was around 2 sales for that 3,800. Well, today someone bought in at almost $5,000, $4,850. Right, so this card is now completely cleared the $4,000 mark, and we're seeing sales almost hit 5K. This is absolutely insane and crazy for something that we just talked about 2 days ago was 2,100. So it's more than doubled. What, 48 hours has it been since I uploaded, right? So crazy, crazy numbers. That just shows you, you know, these aren't scalpers, I don't think. These are people, I think, starting to see the value of Dragon Ball. Because one of the biggest things with Dragon Ball is the IP history, right? You're buying in not just Fusion World, but you're buying into Dragon Ball, which is an IP that's a legacy, that's been there forever, that has games that people play, that makes billions of dollars, billions of yen, and Bandai's never going to let this go. And I think people are starting to realize that, and that's kind of some of the angles that's going to be talked about on the One Piece versus Dragon Ball video that I'm doing. So, moving on is the other Goku from SB01. This one is kind of, I would say, expected because this is kind of the price point where a lot of people are comfortable paying. Like, this is going to be a lot of people's kind of grail-ish, right? That like, oh, you can get like a Goku and it's still an alt art and it's SB01 and it's in that couple $100 range, right? It's in that kind of like affordable where like you can kind of charge your credit card and it's not really going to kill you, and it's nice and gold and shiny. So this is pretty expected for this to go up fairly quickly because there's a very big buyer pool for this, right? And if we check on TCG Player, there is one sale today at $390 and yesterday at almost $400. So yeah, this card is expected to continue, but probably still stay under 1,000. Next up, okay, so this is what I want to talk about: the Japanese versus English and the gap. Okay, so this Japanese one sold for $1,505, right? The pristine, the FB01 God Rare. So the first God Rare for Fusion World sold for $1,505 in a pristine 10. Okay, and let's go back to the history here of the card. So there was a PSA 10 here, right, that sold for 1,500 Great British Pounds. Okay, a little confusing because the way that it's written, but here we go. 1,500, and it should say Australian pounds here, which is about $2,000. So this card right here, the same FB01 God Rare in a PSA 10 sold for $2,000. So there's only a $500 gap between the Japanese Beckett, the Japanese pristine 10 Beckett, and a PSA 10 English, okay? Now, the thing to think about here is, are you a collector or are you an investor, okay? Because if you're going towards the collector route, I think the extra $500 can go a long way for your collection. right? Because the thing that's holding the value here is that it's obviously a god rare, right? And you have a pristine 10, but it's also a part of the first set to ever come out for Fusion World. That's why this one sold for $1,500. So just remember, if you're a collector, to me, I think it's okay for you to save some money on the Japanese stuff that has some insurance in it, FB01, because it still looks nice. I mean, you can barely read the you can barely read the text anyway, and it still looks good. And you save $500, and that $500 can go towards some other piece for your collection. Whereas if you're more of an investor type of person, where you're like, you like the art, you like the IP, but making money kind of matters to you too, paying the extra $500 means that you're opening up a buyer pool for the future. So if you want to liquidate this card, maybe you want, something happens, or maybe you just need money to go somewhere else. There's way more people out there that would pay you for the English one rather than the Japanese one. So just keep that in mind. A $500 difference is the difference between the buyer pools of people willing to shell out a little bit more for English, or they're buying the Japanese one because of personal collection reasons. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this boo just keeps going up, right? It was around 150-ish a day 2 days ago. Now they're selling for around 230, 250. And here is the Son Goku. This one is really good, I think. This one has a lot of potential, but this one skyrocketed, right? 80, 95. And here is a PSA 10 that sold, and let's look at the sold price. They sold for $225. So this one had quite the jump for being around like $20 for a while. So you go from $20 to a card that a lot of people didn't want to now $225 because there's a PSA 10 slab on. So almost a 10x, which is kind of crazy. All right, moving on. Again, with the Boo, I think this is a good card, and people are starting to realize it's a good card, and the pop count is pretty low. And there's like multiple things going for the card, right? The huge insurance factor is coming out of SB01. So that's always going to cap that population rate because no one's going to open the booster cases, right? But this one sold for $700, and we had a second sale, $650. So we have two sales at around $700. And this Boo, whoever bought 2 days ago at that 500 mark, you're already up. You're up like what? 50% almost of your money, right? Because this is not going to stop. This is probably going to continue to 1,000 easily for this Boo. Okay, and once again, we're back to dual evolution, right? So only 24 hours. We just talked about this yesterday. 4,800. Only 24 hours later, when no one bought it, look, someone came in and now they want 3,800, okay? And what you should do is make somebody else come in at another 2,800 down here. Right? Like let these guys, let them pay their bill at that brick and mortar store, right? A lot of these stores that are not online, they have to pay bills. And if they have to pay bills, that means every 30 days they need cash flow. So that means you don't need to swipe your credit card, but they need to pay bills. And you have to leverage that. If everybody thought like this, we wouldn't have such inflated prices for pre-orders, right? Insane. $3,800 is crazy for something coming out in March. We still got another month. So just keep that in mind. A lot of these stores have to pay bills. And if you don't give them your money, they're going to eventually, they're going to pull their greed down a bit more and more and more until people have a more, a little bit more of an acceptable price point. Okay. So just keep that in mind before FOMOing into the beautiful Gojitas. Very nice. Okay. And lastly, here is the play of the day. This energy marker is really nice. The Super Saiyan 2 Goku in the back, right, with the little hair, and then Goku with the halo. This is really good. I have one myself, right, and I think mine's pretty good to send into PSA 10. And there is one listing on eBay. There's two. There's a Canada one and an Italian one. But, go ahead and check the Canada one and just press make an offer and $25 or $15, whatever you want to offer, and see if you can snag it for that. What was it? What was last sold? Like 35, 25, like offer him there, and then you have a really nice energy marker. Okay. And bonus play of the day or bonus play of the week. It is this Asta card. So I know this is a Dragon Ball Fusion World, but I still have to at least stick to my branding, which is TCG Equity. And there is a Asta, a 3-star Union Arena card for $950. Okay, this is the first listing that I've seen in a while that just popped up a little bit ago. And these things, if this grades a PSA 10, okay, you're looking at about $2,000 to sell. So here is the sale from 2 weeks ago, $2,000. The listing was up for $2,500. So if you buy this and it grades a PSA 10, you can liquidate over $2,500. I'm sure somebody will offer you like 22, 23. Okay. So that's it for the 2 plays, and that's it for the market watch today. Please stay tuned for my future videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.